You've heard of the Rockefellers, right? Of course you have. Their name is synonymous with philanthropy. But what if I told you there was another man, halfway across the world, whose impact on his own nation was just as massive, but whose story has been almost completely lost to time? Well, today we're digging up the incredible story of a man so influential he's been called the Rockefeller of the East. So who was he, and why is it that almost no one outside his home country has ever heard his name? I mean, just think about the scale of this comparison for a second. On one side, you've got the Rockefeller family, a dynasty that literally shaped modern America. And on the other, you have Charles Henry De Soysa, a single individual who was basically the architect of the future for his nation, Ceylon, which we now know as Sri Lanka. So here he is, Charles Henry De Soysa. Born in 1836, he became one of the wealthiest people of his time, with huge plantations and businesses. But here's the thing, it's not the money he made that really defines him, it's what he did with it. And that brings us to his social vision, which was, for its time, nothing short of revolutionary. See, De Soysa wasn't just writing checks, he was strategically building the pillars of a brand new, modern nation. Okay, so check out this timeline. In 1871, he starts a model farm to figure out how to best feed his country. Just 8 years later, he funds and gifts the first maternity hospital in all of Asia. And then, he starts building a network of colleges. You see the pattern here? This wasn't just random charity. This was nation building, piece by piece. And this quote right here, it gets to the very heart of his thinking. His hospital was built on the principle that it would serve all women, no matter their background. In the deeply segregated society of the 19th century under colonial rule, that wasn't just generous, that was absolutely radical. And he took that same radical approach to education. He built colleges not just for boys, but for girls too, giving them a full secular education. I mean, at that time, that was an almost unthinkable investment in gender equality. He was laying the foundation for an entirely new middle class. But De Soysa wasn't just a builder, he was also a challenger. He used his immense wealth and influence to stand up to the British colonial establishment in ways that history has almost completely forgotten. So let's look at 3 of these incredible facts. All right, fact number 1. So get this. The British government evicted more than 100 families because they couldn't pay this crushing tax. De Soysa didn't just, write an angry letter. No, he stepped in, bought up a huge plot of land, and personally gave it to every single one of those displaced families. He saved them from total ruin. Okay, on to fact number 2. Long before it was a common thing, De Soysa became a pioneering agricultural scientist. That model farm he started, it wasn't just for show. It was a massive 160-acre experimental station, a giant laboratory, really, where he tested new crops and livestock to figure out scientifically the best way to make his nation prosperous. And the third fact, and honestly, this one might be the boldest of all. He went head-to-head with the British medical elite. They were really not keen on treating local Ceylonese people and Europeans in the same facilities. De Soysa basically put his foot down and said, "Not in my hospital." He insisted that his state-of-the-art maternity hospital would treat everyone equally under one roof. That was a huge taboo to break in the colonial era. But his vision didn't stop at the borders of his homeland. Not even close. De Soysa's sense of humanity had no borders, and it stretched all the way to the heart of the British Empire itself. While he was visiting Great Britain, he ended up donating to 20 major hospitals there. And we're talking about world-famous institutions like Great Ormond Street for Children and Guy's Hospital in London. Just stop and think about that for a second. A Ceylonese man was funding the healthcare system of the British Empire. It's this poetic, almost unbelievable reversal of the colonial dynamic that you just never read about in history books. But tragically, his life was cut short when he was just 44. After being bitten by a rabid dog, he had a choice.
He could go to Paris for the brand new cutting-edge Pasteur treatment, or he could trust his own people. In a final act of devotion, he chose local Sinhalese medicine as a show of support. He didn't survive, but he stayed true to his principles, right to the very end.
So when you look at the whole picture, his legacy really did cover life from the womb to the tomb. From the maternity hospital that brought generations into the world to the schools that educated them for the future, he was truly the architect of modern Sri Lanka. And all of this just leaves us with one last lingering thought. The story of Charles Henry De Soysa was buried for over 100 years. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other incredible, world-changing people has history simply forgotten?